Hi guys, today we're going to talk a little bit more about this idea of absolute value. Now if you remember from the other video, absolute value is shown by using two long vertical lines, and there's usually a number, sometimes even a number sentence in between. So let's say I have the absolute value of 3. That means how far away is the number in between those signs away from 0. So imagine yourself standing on 0 and taking a walk to that number. How many steps would you have to take? Well, to get to 3, I would take 3 steps. So the absolute value of 3 is 3. Just the same way, if I was talking about the absolute value of -3, I would also have to take 3 steps to get to 0. So the absolute value of 3 is 3. The absolute value of -3 is also 3. We can show that on a number line. Here's 0, 1, positive numbers, right? Go to the right side. Negative numbers go to the left side. So here's our number line, and you can see that if I was on 3, I would take 1, 2, 3 steps to get to 0, or if I was on positive 3, 1, 2, 3 steps to get to 0. So we also consider those numbers opposites. If you take the same number of steps, if you were to fold that number line on 0, they would match up. So any numbers that match up, 2 is 2 steps away, or -2 is 2 steps away from 0. Positive 2 is 2 steps away from 0, so these two numbers are opposites, right? Just like -1 and +1 are going to be opposites. So we can read that, and that's an important concept for where we're going. This number, negative, we'll just use a 2, can be read as, little arrow can be read as -2. Right, so this is -2, or it can also be read as the opposite of 2. Because this is the opposite. So a negative sign can mean negative. It can also mean the opposite in math. So if we can understand that, then you're going to have no problem with where we're going. So let's say we're going back just to regular old absolute value for a second. The absolute value of 2 would be, right, 2. But let's say I add this to the situation. All right, we got to almost think of the absolute value signs as parentheses in the order of operation. So I have to do this operation first. So this is saying the opposite of the absolute value of 2. So I know the absolute value of 2 is 2, but now because this negative sign is out here, it's asking me to find the opposite of it. So I'm going to put -2 because I know -2 is the opposite of +2. So if I had this, the opposite of the absolute value of -7, well, the absolute value of -7 is +7, but then I have this little guy out here, so I know I need to take the opposite of that situation. So it becomes -7. So this, let's say the opposite of this, okay, is read. And how would you say this? It's read like this. The opposite of the absolute value of -3. The opposite of the absolute value of -3. So the absolute value of -3 is 3. The opposite of that would be -3. All right, let's give it a little shot here. I'm going to give you a few to try. What if I just gave you this? That's the absolute value of 19. I know -19 is 19 steps away from 0, so there you go. What if I gave you this one? The absolute value of -4 is 4, but now I want the opposite of 4, and I know the opposite of 4 is -4. Okay, and then this, let's just do this. I hope that didn't go out. I'll try that again. So the opposite of the absolute value of 4.3, well, what's inside here I know is going to be 4.3, and the negative sign outside makes it the opposite. So I have the absolute value of the opposite of the absolute value of 4.3 is negative 4.3. Lots of words going on there.